Yes, right, that's working. Welcome back. We are in our old fortress Nosetools, where I can't remember what I was doing. It was days ago. Where I think I was trying to. Where one of the things I was trying to do was to set up a squad of crossbow dwarves, Marks dwarves, who could take on, who could start getting good at, e.g., shooting zombies. And I was also, what else? Beginning to think that maybe our dining room's a bit crowded. And I just got myself a jaguar and a leopard and was thinking about training them for war. No, it is a jaguar. We've checked. Jaguar. See. Oops, wrong button. Large, muscular, spotted feline found in tropical jungles.
Average in size, but large.
It's an average-sized jaguar. Jaguars are large.
Is either green yellow?
I should come downstairs.
One of each.
Yes.
And I should tell Simon my joke. Why did Thorin not sit down and start singing about gold? Because the dwarves have Nosetools.
What was I planning to do with that room to the south of the dining room? Was I planning to make it into an extension of the dining room, or did I have some other purpose for it? I mean, the thing about making all of my rooms essentially identical is, of course, it doesn't really matter. So let's mark that for smoothing, and then build a door in it. Oh, we haven't got it. What? We're out of doors. Oh yes, because we were in the process of constructing a phenomenal number of extra bedrooms on the floor above, weren't we? And they still don't have all their doors. So yes, we can't put that door in yet, but what we can do is enlarge the dining room to at least notionally encompass that southern room as well, which should at least encourage people to spread out. It doesn't look like there's actually a shortage of furniture, like there's only one person sitting at a table eating. It's just a bit crowded. So we have these two squads, but one of them is not doing anything, and I think this is probably so now I'm in this. Oh, well, how does this terrifyingly complicated system of military stuff work? Schedule. Now they're both set to train. So do I need to do that? Will that do something more useful? I wonder. Anyway, so one thing to try doing is setting up somewhere for some animal training. Oh, right, yes, that seems to have caused those to actually become Marks dwarves.
Wow! Ben, I typed Kedge de Muto to any accents at all, and it translates it as glue for shoes.
Excellent.
So I have indeed Kedge my Mutos. Excellent.
Of course, the problem with having the Marks dwarfs training area connected to the pit is that the miasma from the pit does end up in the Marks dwarf training area. Possibly I should do something with that coffin before it becomes truly extravagant.
Dwarves have the ability to wear gas masks.
No. Well, they don't have the ability to make them anyway. That's okay. The miasma's clearing. It doesn't leak very far in. So a bunch of my dwarves have now declared themselves to be Mark's dwarves, but are still socialising.
Part of dwarves.
Is there officially a plural? What's the official plural of dwarf in Dwarf Fortress?
I don't know. I'm not sure there's anywhere that the game would tell you.
I have a feeling also that the Tolkien estate has views on people using dwarves.
They claim copyright on the word dwarves or something.
Yeah, it's not standard English. Tolkien.
On the other hand, rather too short to be copyrighted.
You would think, but I'm sure that they can go after it for, infringing on states or something.
Well, the Dwarf Fortress wiki says dwarves with a V.
Okay. That's nice.
Whether the game presumably at some point needs a plural, but I can't actually think of anywhere where I would find the plural.
I noticed that there aren't really any fantasy things that have taken up dwarrows or dwerrows as the plural.
So I'm going to dig out.
Yes, I think there were dwarves in Memory Sorrow 4.
Okay.
But I don't think that there was one dwarrow, several dwarrows. They didn't use it as a weird plural.
Yeah, right. States, isn't it?
Let's dig out that area to be our animal training area.
When dwarfs first appear in the Discord in equal rights, they start with a V. And I think Pratchett then recanted immediately afterwards and started with an F thereafter.
Yes.
Aha!
I think it's very disappointing.
One of my Mark's dwarves has gone to archery practice.
I think he couldn't quite decide whether his dwarfs were Tolkien inspired or Snow White inspired. They definitely have aspects of both, in that they're prone to sing about gold and also sing high ho.
Yes, here we have evidence that indeed, at least the plural of, say, Mark's dwarf is Mark's dwarves.
Dwarven children, they like the read.
Yes.
Swords dwarves, hammer dwarves. Mark dwarves and wrestlers too.
Right, and now... Okay, he's pissed off again. What are you doing now? Oops. You didn't spend very long there. Have you run out of equipment? I may need to be a bit careful about... Actually, what I should do is set my Craftsdwarf's workshop making bone crossbow bolts, because that's a really good use for bones. Okay, it also needs about 4 make totem jobs scheduled. Let's cancel 4 of those.
No, indeed, has not heard of dwarves at all.
It probably hasn't updated since like 19 something rather.
Right. I want to do. Oh yes, 4 totems to consume those skulls, so that then those slots in its thing will be available. And is there? Yes, there's a new memorial there, which we should erect in the temple. Yes, but we're doing all right with the zombies, frankly. So far, they haven't been a serious problem. We've got a zombie dwarf kicking around in that pit at the moment, and it doesn't seem. But as long as it stays down there, It's fine. So yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about undead. Plus, fun.
I mean, it's only fun when someone's trying to kick your head in and the someone in question is a zombie.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's only fun and games until someone loses half their limbs and carries on attacking.
So I could dig out some of those random gems that are kicking around here. Seems like we have these gems in rooms that I really don't care about the quality of. Don't think it's useful. I think we may as well leave the gems in the walls of the bedrooms though. While we're here, I think it's probably safe to dig those out as well. We won't accidentally stumble through the wall of the pit. Right. Oh dear, a troglodyte partial skeleton has started wandering around. Well, first let me schedule reinstating those walls in some rather cheaper materials. And then work out what just happened. All right. And what were you trying to do? Oh, you probably won't be willing to mine in there, will you? No, okay. Yes. No civilian is willing to enter that room because there are zombies on the other side of the fortification. And while nothing can get to those zombies, oh, yes, you're a visitor who's turned up on a day when the outside world is entirely full of undead rhinoceroses, aren't you? Stoked. Now running away from the undead rhinoceroses, and now going up to them again, and now creeping away from them again. Can't actually see where this one is because he's in such a dark blue. You could just leave the map again. No one would blame you. Charge! Sorry, the visiting axe dwarf has, I think, just been charged into the river. Or possibly has just dived into the river, I'm not quite sure. The rhinoceros corpse attacks the axe dwarf, but she jumps away, certainly suggests.
Did that is fighting display just include an output of feather?
Yes.
One feather is fighting.
Well, I think strictly it's all of the feathers of one elk bird. I don't think it's really only one feather. But yes, and it's not very good at it. Yeah, more or less. Okay, maybe the axe dwarf has actually just voluntarily dived into the river, being terrified, and is now swimming across and or trying not to drown, and has been joined there by the undead rhinoceros. I think it's rather that it would quite like to kill the axe dwarf. No, they just leave them dead. I mean, obviously they don't stay dead for long in this world. They become undead. It's so it's actually a means of reproduction. Oops! Don't press that thing too hard. So how is our axe dwarf feeling now? They're tired but uninjured for now. And, you know, are causing injuries at least to the undead rhinoceros. Oh, that looks messy. There's blood there. Don't think the rhinoceros is the one that's bleeding. Yes. Gores the axe dwarf in the left lower arm with his second horn, bruising the skin, bruising the muscle. I'm not sure you gore someone. Force Bren's. Oh right, yes, badly broken right ankle. That's not going to be nice. And the axe dwarf has started biting the rhinoceros. That's not going to work either. Still, the axe dwarf is very pleased to have improved their shield handling. I mean, busy drowning, mind. Well, not technically drowning yet, I don't think. Busy bleeding. Has lost their copper shield and their copper battle axe. Right, well, that's it then. Ah, right. Force twists the neck, tearing apart the muscle and tearing apart the upper spine's nervous tissue.
It was nice knowing you, Axel.
Yeah.
That's uncomfortable.
Yes, that's not... That's probably going to render them paralysed from the neck down, which when you're in a river with an undead rhinoceros... Oh no, it still seems to be just about moving. Maybe not actually fully paralysed yet. Sorry, in the river with two undead rhinoceroses. Yeah, okay. I think once you've lost a... yeah, I think you're probably dead now, aren't you? Yep, deceased. Well, it was nice knowing you. I'm sure you'll be back. And you've managed to injure some of the undead rhinoceroses.
You're sure they'll be back in the sense that...
Why do we not have any doors? Did I actually cancel the build me as many doors as you possibly can job? Am I going to need to make more doors? Let's have another... JM. Yes. New order. Door. Rock. About 10 of them. At least there's more space to play musical instruments now. Thank you. Okay, all of our dining tables are actually in use now, so I think I've got 2 people eating meat and 1 person eating some kind of fruit. How do I do it? Do I have to go T because it's an object in the table? Yes. Someone is eating a saguaro fruit and 2 people are eating giant rat meat. So yes, I probably want some more furniture. I presume... Well, I have got at least some chairs and tables available still. Well, let's set them up in the northern part for now. Set up the unnecessarily decorated ones on the grounds that will make it a better dining room. Ah, so I just paused at just the right moment to see a crossbow bolt flying through the air. One elkbird bone bolt, so clearly someone is making crossbow bolts. Is flying towards the archery target.
I suppose you get to find out whether it's going to hit without restarting turn.
I wonder where the bolts actually get absorbed when they hit the archery target. And this is someone who's like a master. What's your abilities? No, not that one. No, not Q. You're only a competent Marks dwarf. Oh yes, if you are doing that, when you're flashing, you should be a master something. Adequate ambusher. Oh, a legendary musician. Right, okay. Oh, that's nice.
Legendary musician, but only a novice at any actual instrument. Maybe they compose.
We could sing.
I think singing is treated as an instrument, but I'm not sure. What I want to do is just check that they don't have any hunting labours enabled, but they don't. Good. So, well, they're practising their archery. I mean, there's an entire load of undead that they could be shooting at.
A novice stringed instrument player, because they keep doing this with their bow instead.
So what are they doing then? Just follow them. Oh, I think they're going... They may have been going to fetch some more crossbow bolts, maybe. Mostly running in circles, it looks like, though. Okay, no, urgent meditation needed. Oh yes, meanwhile, we've got a new monument to a unfortunate dwarf. I want tea, don't I, to see what it's made of. To Tirist Codthob, which the memorial, because it was left somewhere in the vicinity of the workshops, has ended up encrusted with rose-cut red tourmalines, menacing with spikes of water buffalo bone and white jade. Reads, in memory of Tirist Codthob, born 126, bled to death, slain by the troglodyte staff raced in the year 159. We can't remember anything more about them, sorry.
When they were alive, they were awesome, but we mentioned that they got
Still, Mark's dwarves do at least appear to be occasionally wandering into the place where they could shoot at the undead, though they appear not to actually be shooting at them. So this may require some more investigation. Meanwhile, have we got any doors yet? Oh, it's Poet. Look, I'm not letting anyone into the fortress at the moment because they might bring a rhinoceros with them. So I think I can then designate that for animal training. So where's our unfortunate poet? Standing up there. Well, I'm sorry, but while the world is full of rhinoceroses... Oh, which it isn't. The rhinoceroses have apparently buggered off. Have they? Oh no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong part of the list. A bunch of extra troglodytes have turned up in the caverns. The rhinoceroses have not buggered off. One of them has a name now. Presumably by killing the visiting axe dwarf.
committee sitting on top of the rhinoceros, but I'm not sure it's a very good
And
idea.
myself, I just on the phone, you're too rhinoceros to be extravagant.
Yeah, I agree.
So if I now select that unit, animal is waiting to be trained. Interesting. I assumed I would need to do more than that, but let's see what happens then. Almost no one is actually doing any work.
Are they all fighting?
No, they're all just... I mean, there's a lot of praying and meditating and listening to music and so forth. And, like, yeah, I should probably give more of them jobs.
Well, isn't this just because everyone built up a backlog of going, oh god, I've got to do something to chill out?
There was a bit of that, certainly. But I think it's also that there are places to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do. You probably want to do something about musical instrument situation in due course. What's this dwarf up to? Ah, right. Getting a piglet back where they belong. Okay, so another thing that dwarves were complaining about was the lack of variety in of good varied food. Thank you. I'm sure we needed a masterpiece limestone door. I mean, we needed a limestone door, so I'm not going to complain very much. Okay, my fortress layout may be causing some confusion to the poor dwarves trying to root around it. In particular when there's a room full of pigs in the way. Keep going. No, maybe I'll go that way. No, maybe I'll go that way. And having to bring pigs back. We're presumably still insanely oversupplied with food, yes. Reasonably well supplied with drink. I think what I should do is start making my food stockpiles more interesting, or rather more complicated. So a bit of remembering how I've done this before. Let's just build some rooms. Rooms are good. And then I think, because what we really want is to separate uncooked food from cooked food and have the uncooked food arranged such that it's mostly going to be supplying a kitchen. Oops, no, that wasn't what I meant. No, neither was that. Build door, not dig mine. Right, we are actually adequately off for doors now, I think. And I think all of the connections between rooms on that floor now have doors scheduled for them. we need more bedrooms, we should start going south. So that's clearing that out. Yes, those are rock pots, probably full of food.
I'm still not very good at reading the individual symbols in this display. I'm gradually getting the hang of stepping up and down through slices of reality. But
I occasionally wonder if I should make the font bigger.
I find it hard to pick out the dwarves because they're not. I mean, they don't stand out from all the other characters in the way that, say, an @ sign does
Yes.
by filling most of the square and being brighter.
Yes. They're somewhat limited by how complicated a smiley face you can draw in 5 pixels wide. I mean, I've got an inverse video smiley face that looks pretty good. So, yes. So, I need more doors. Yes, that's the one.
Stoke test in case you have to respond because it's got plates in it. Not deep flow, lateral flow.
Right. I should probably cancel the decorate with horn job because there's no actual decorating with horn going on. Thank you. So what's in that space now then? Is that all bone? Skull, bone, skull, bone, skull. So we can still do 3 more totem jobs.
One job and 2 more skulls. Well, that's the toy version. Unfortunately, there's an alternative head for him in the box, which basically is the same head but in very. It has to be a cheeky smirk. There isn't actually. That's what the toy head looks like, though. There isn't a toy head version for it. That's the cartoon version, or the smirking cartoon version.
That's a stupid graphics of the stupid latex against stupid work. Then I'm going to have to look up the journal's rules. Prefix to see if I can push them into the archive.
I know who I told you about doing it. I only have to do my people with my thesis and just like about to use it. I could show you a bit of my course on it. So the timetable this year is completely sorted up because of all the COVID things. As usually, for example, the lectures.
Let's just mark the rocks in that room as don't try to move this.
And the small course is Tuesday, Thursday. And in lengths you have that 4 hour for each day, but they space things out a bit. And so the 2 lecture ones, sort of on Tuesday, Thursday, are now things like Monday, Friday.
Right, that will stop anyone walking in there just in order to pick things up.
And stats is Thursday 11, Saturday 9. And my entire thing says which days it is on and which time is it at. Otherwise, Friday at 10, which is 11. and I couldn't find a way to make this work very nicely. So my solution as of yesterday was to have two courses, stats at 11 at Thursday with 6 level numbers, and stats at 9 Saturday with no numbers attached to it. And then have three tick one box for both. So you could choose both stats or any of them. And I thought that's a bit silly, a bit confusing. So I
When you like use the alphas and the real questions.
well, no, well, listen, basically it's dash. So, for example, it had 4 dashes along this line here where it would be. My new fixed version, I'm taking one off for this year. I've got one off change the code for this year, or a line that one off brute force changes the output. That says not go and
So
read
let's
what
set up a-
it says for stats, writing that particular script rather than reading it from the file. But the code that works at the timetable, I put one in this slot and one in that slot, has to know that there are those 2 different time slots in there. And therefore there is a second stats box. At the bottom of the page it says, ignore this box. It's a clumsy box to exists. You can uncheck that box and it's going to stats.
You could probably put in a span class equals display colon none. So that's span start equals display colon none.
I don't know, can I?
Probably.
I tried playing with it for you to get figuring out commenting out and whatever. Is that a doable thing?
Is crossbow bolts in this list somewhere? Doesn't look like it. Also, wavy blowguns. I'm pretty sure those won't work well.
So what, just span...
I honestly.
Don't we see, span, style, display... When it would appear in the thing and be a checkbox, they'll notice it, just doesn't join us with.
Yeah, it should continue to behave the way it behaves, just isn't visible. Look, there's some bellow on the
Bellow! A bellow
Shootsy
gun.
creatures with wavy blowguns. Yes, thank you.
It is a question about them.
The thing at the left with the triangles is the shooting gallery, right? Yes, it is. I'm trying to work out how I set up a stockpile for crossbow bolts, and I can't immediately. I would have thought they would be treated as a weapon, but while there are bows and such like in here and crossbows, they don't appear to be bolts. Oh, they're ammo, right, you idiot. Yes. Disable, enable, ammo. Maybe you have to use narrow blow darts in your wavy blow gun.
I just copied that comment hidden into a line with the one box thinking in case the display kind of doesn't turn up for anybody else. If they see it, okay, that's better, that's great. Yes, that is the hideous cludgy thing in the centre of it. But of course, look,
Right, so what I would like to do now
all of them are 2 horses.
is to build a food stockpile here, which will only allow unprepared food and not drinks. I mean, probably also doesn't need to allow lye or milk of lime. It should only allow things that are actually edible. I think probably also means no oils and no venoms. I think you can eat most of those. Oh yes, we need a soap industry, don't we? Right, and then I want to make
Cheese hedgehog, as in cheese hedgehog. The hedgehog with cheese on spikes.
I have no idea why the phrase cheese hedgehog appeared in the chat at all.
Did you make that?
so this one then I want to set to only prepared food, with the idea being that then we'll have a kitchen somewhere that takes the raw food and converts it into prepared food, and people will eat the prepared food and they will like it because it will be nice. And I know from past experience that you tend to end up with a couple of legendary cooks if you do this, and they produce lots of really, really nice, really, really valuable food, and then you can sell it. So now everyone's going to start moving food around, possibly in an unhelpful fashion. Okay, there was a problem with putting a stockpile of crossbow bolts in the archery range, which is that everyone who turns up trying to deliver a crossbow bolt to it runs away screaming.
What, because there are monsters nearby?
Yes, they go, ah! Walk in, ah! Run away.
Do they actually put the arrow down?
Let's have a look. If they all just drop the arrow at the entrance, that would be fine. It might be working. We've got quite a few crossbow bolts in that pile now. I mean, it even means that they don't insist on making the stockpile one item per square, because they arrive at the first square of the stockpile, get scared and run away. The item's in the stockpile, so they won't try to move it again, because it's in the correct place. But they don't insist on. But there's still an empty square of stockpile, so the next one can be brought. So actually, at the expense of terrifying all my dwarves, I've made a highly efficient quantum stockpile by a mechanism that I don't think the wiki has suggested as a way of making a quantum stockpile.
Can you make pizza?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Bread is, well, you can kind of make biscuits out of flour, but I don't have any flour because that would involve like wheat and such like.
Okay.
So no. I think the terrified dwarves are only the civilians. They get a little bit tougher when they're actually meant to be when they're in military mode. What I'm going to try though is getting my Mark's dwarves to actually have a go at shooting at an actual thing, and we'll see what they do about it. I mean, their route finding may be a disaster because I think I just saw one of them going upstairs. You know, there's a chance they'll work out that they can shoot these creatures through that hole in the wall. See, someone isn't terrified. There's a giant mole that's not terrified at all. Right, the food reorganisation has not gone astonishingly well. We seem to have an automatic render fat job going on there, which is kind of fine because tallow is an important ingredient in soap. So, you know, that's a step in our soap industry. But let us also set a repeating prepare lavish meal job. And then, well, we have someone who thinks that cooking is their role. That's fine. So the Rams of Clasping think they're trying to kill that troglodyte, but don't actually appear to be doing it. So that doesn't seem to be helpful. Let's install a door there. Now we've got some. And we also need doors.
Also, remember to take alarm.
Yes, Claire, I think you did say the rounds of clasping.
They're the squad of Mark's dwarves.
Something cheap.
So our cook is now preparing out of. Hang on. You've made this nice tallow, and now you're turning it into dinner. That's unhelpful. Out of some water buffalo tallow and some plump helmets, a nice meal. No, that's part of the building. Actually, I don't think they can be turning all of those into things, so maybe some of the tallow will survive. Let's actually start on a soap industry. I don't know, let's build the soap industry next to the kitchens, because it needs tallow. Oops. No, that wasn't helpful. Slight problem with cooking plump helmets is that that destroys their spawn, so we might end up with a shortage of someone's fighting. Oh, the giant mole is... Oh, I think we have a horrible goose. Well, maybe not horrible, but we have a goose who is currently fighting a giant mole. I kind of feel that the giant mole should win, but... So let's adjust that stockpile. Oh God, sorry, disabling tallow is utter pay. Maybe I don't have the patience for this. Unlikely to meet most of these. It doesn't matter what kind of animal it came from. Also, are you sure you can make tallow from giant damselflies? Are you sure there's an adequate amount of stuff in a tick? Maybe I'm too bored. Yeah, I might actually not have quite this much patience. In particular because I've got out of sync. Actually, what's the point in having a macro feature in your language, in your game? This is obviously not much faster, but...
Someone tell Ben something, but I'm not sure what it is you're pointing at. After Ben's question, David asked, why doesn't block all and then pull it fast?
Oh!
I didn't know what DTRT meant, because he's also been talking about...
Might be worth the try. No, I think that will turn out... That's the entire category of fat and tallow. Also, we got out of sync there somehow, because bloody honeybees have 3 kinds of fat. So those are kind of half man, half thing monsters. Yes. Yes, this is much quicker now that I can just do it as a... I'm not actually going to hold the key down just to be on the safe side. Actually, I'll probably, if I reach the end... No, there's a slight danger it wraps around at the bottom. Also, it's queued up quite a lot of these key presses now. Okay, I'll try holding it down and see what happens. Yeah, it does remember a lot of them. This is completely pointless and I shouldn't have started it, but I'm not going to stop now.
You've sunk your cost down.
Also, you get to see all the different kinds of creature in the game.
Don't forget your fleece on the grounds that tomorrow morning it's not going to be that warm. Especially when you get up.
Doesn't have a space.
And then each individual forgotten beast is listed separately, but you can't tell anything about them because you haven't met them yet. I could possibly stop right now that we're on forgotten beasts because it's unlikely that any particular forgotten beast is going to turn up. It really should just have fat tallow because you don't care. I mean, I suppose maybe some forgotten beast fats are poisonous or something. I'm not sure I'm meant to know that those exist.
Oh god, where everything?
No, not quite.
The bottom of the list!
It does wrap round. And thus it's now undoing all of my changes at the top. Well, I've let go of the key. Let's hope I didn't hold it down for too long. Stoats. I was hoping it wouldn't wrap round at the bottom. We just end up hammering the bottom item for a little while. Well, I'll go and read some IRC. Oh, good. Right, go back up to the top and then replay that for a little while. Yeah, there's not many that it's overdone.
Check where you've got
Wrong way round. Sorry, I did the first few in the wrong phase. This was only a minor optimization to try to avoid accidentally cooking all the tallow. The thing is, I really want to create another stockpile that just contains tallow to feed the soap industry. Maybe we should make our soap out of olive oil instead. Right. Well, that was completely useless. Well, it wasn't completely useless, but it was pretty close. Why have we got things fighting? Oh, that's the goose versus the giant mole. And now the woodcutter has got involved. So how is everyone feeling down there? There's a woodcutter who's fine. The goose is slightly injured.
Tape measure recently, Dan?
No, I think the little one you've got, the yellow one. I've got one in my room if you really need one. Oh, I haven't got it. So yeah, I think the giant mole is probably going to win over the goose. Yeah, that looks like goose blood. I mean, we could try setting our military onto this giant mole. But so far, it hasn't actually started hurting any of the people. But the goose is, I fear, someone's pet.
You should try to get people to learn earthbending shops or something.
Yes, pet of Ushat Nak. Yes, that one.
And snooze,
Who might be unhappy if the
start
thing ends up dead. But on the other hand, I'm not sure we can take a giant mole, and I kind of would like not to end up losing a load of dwarves to this giant mole. Though the leopard will probably help.
what do you do with a monster if you don't want to kill it? You don't want to like lure it into the pit and sort of push it from behind.
Yeah, or cage traps, though all the cage traps are at the entrance, because I wasn't expecting giant moles to turn up in the middle of my fortress. So, yes, we could cage trap it, for instance. And we do have some cage traps. In this case, what I'm hoping is that the giant mole will probably kill the goose and then get bored and wander off. This will unhappify the dwarf whose goose it is. But otherwise not be a serious problem. Someone's already cleaned up the blood.
Ooh, there's meditating on jewels and meditating on jewels.
Yes, the second one is I really need to do this, or is an uninterruptible meditate. I'm doing this, and this is like the most important thing, and I'm not going to stop it for anything because I really need some meditation now. What's the situation? Aha, right. We now have the first generation of fortress-born piglets have grown up into adult animals, or more or less adult.
We're going to go stray boar.
Stray, as in, does not have any specific owner. Just make these into official bedrooms. Oh, we're missing a door there.
Right, that's enough dwarf-related foolishness. I'm Snooze. Good night.
Good night. Right, so that should give us a reasonable number of unoccupied bedrooms. So I might want to, or any of them, some of those assigned to the Creative Pumpkin are the ones, are there any unused ones that are assigned to the Creative Pumpkin? Can I check that by going the Creative Pumpkin? Rented rooms 3 out of total rooms 3, so that probably means we need to assign more rooms to the Creative Pumpkin. Let's assign another 3, actually 4, because that would be that whole column. So now all of the first generation of piglets are growing up, which probably means that I could slaughter all of the next older generation. Annoyingly, it's rather hard to tell now which ones those are. Right, we have now got rid of those rhinoceroides outside, so let's unlock the various things that were keeping us from going outside. We must allow the dwarves out. We'll also see if there are any gems down here to mine. Still haven't found any ores, but gems are nice. Initially, we may not be able to get at all of these. I think most of those that I've just marked are above ground level. Any gems in this layer? No. How tedious. That one had a few. Yes, it seems it's mostly this layer that has the gems, and that's quite hard to get at. Oh well. Anyway, where are we? I was going, we now have far too many pigs. Let us do something about the pig situation. Let's take like about half of the pigs and all of the boars bar one. M there do nothing useful, right. Labour, profile, slaughter. Probably want to be slightly careful about the ordering of this. That's so quick though, yes. That we know has to be got rid of quickly, and is in, well, doesn't have to be got rid of quickly, but is of no use. Is there anything there? So the skin will get tanned. bones are not a danger. It has no hair. So yes, now we're tanning the boar's hide, as it were. Only one of those. I think it was. Yes. This giant mole is proving to be a bit of a problem. It's hurting all of our animals. I'm kind of tempted to try to dispatch it. Yes, isn't the Creative Pumpkin a great pub name? Don't think the giant mole can let all the zombies out, because that would actually involve breaking down a wall, and I don't think giant moles do that. Let me just look them up, just in case. Right, the wiki says probably giant moles are easily lured into traps by using food stockpiles as bait. If captured in cages, they can be trained into valuable pets. However, due to their very short lifespan, giant moles make poor long-term companions. So possibly. We should attempt to trap this one, because it might be a bit scary to maybe a bit short of cages, mind, but need of mechanisms. I'm getting more and more inclined just to kill it, though. I mean, I don't know if this will work, but it'll be amusing. Sod it. Hey, you military guys. Have a target. Right, well that was quick. I think we have someone who's pretty good with an axe. Axe Dwarf hacks the giant mole in the upper body with her bronze battle axe, and the injured part is cloven asunder. Now, someone please pick up the corpse of that giant mole and take it away. It should get deposited up here, all being well. Sorry, just being amused by the fact that I think someone was busy chasing a piglet around there. Right, the job to butcher the giant mole has been scheduled. And here comes someone to do the job. Right, so we now have a soap maker's workshop, which is of precious little use because we also need someone not to have cooked all our tallow. Surely there's still some tallow left. Okay, maybe someone's going to have to actually what's going on with food then? How has that gone? Stocks. Prepared meals. We have 46 prepared meals, which are mostly plump helmet roasts, consisting of finely minced large rat tallow, minced plump helmet, well minced plump helmet, and minced plump helmet. Well, yes, that does appear to consist mostly of plump helmets. I think they found the tallow and have cooked it all into plump helmet roasts. Oh no, we've got some porcupine tripe in that one. But you'll notice they're quite valuable, even though they're not very well made yet. And the hope is that because the prepared food stockpile is closer to the dining room than the raw food stockpile, there will be a tendency towards the people eating the inhabitants eating the prepared meals rather than the raw food. Right, so now we should have bits of giant mole, and well, there's not much we can do with giant mole nervous tissue. Or wasn't there some giant mole cartilage somewhere? Yes. But on the other hand, the other components of the giant mole should be quite useful. Troglodyte corpse does not like having giant mole cartilage dropped on its head. But isn't sensible enough as to get out of the way before it gets a large mess of giant mole nervous tissue dropped on it. So, in order to make soap, though, we also need some ash and some lye. We've got an armed cage trap now at the entrance to our food store. Oh well, I'm sure it'll be useful at some point. Now, lye comes from an ashery. Made by a lye maker at an ashery. And I should actually just look up the soap. The wiki has a great big. Right, so you need wood, which you turn into ash in a wood furnace, which you turn into lye in an ashery, which you can then combine with your tallow or oil to make soap. So we need a wood furnace and an ashery whose sole purpose, initially at least, is going to be to fuel the soap industry. That's nice. I'm still a bit confused about the animal training and why. Yeah. Why we're why I can't remember how to train things for war. Let's quickly look that up. Training. Go to your animal status screen and find your trainable animal. Trainable animals are those where you can press W or H for hunting or training. Animal screen, where we can then train the jaguar and the leopard for war. Can't train pigs for war, sorry. Can't train that dog for war because they're a pet already. We can train the jaguar and leopard for war. They've run out of crossbow bolts again. You know, stockpile certainly doesn't seem to have any in it. Let's queue up some. More jobs to make more of them. So I'm not currently slaughtering things because... Okay, no, I am going to slaughter some things. I was worried that there might still be some meat lying around in the butchery, but there isn't. There's some bones. There are these gizzard stones, which don't seem to be going anywhere, which is slightly unfortunate. So... still have multiple boars, so let's tag another one of those for slaughter, along with a couple of our with 3 old sows. I think those ones are relatively old. Some migrants have arrived. Cave crocodile has been found and fairly efficiently dispatched, it looks like. Front door is open. There is nothing. Okay, there is one undead monitor lizard on the surface. Let us keep an eye on that. I hope someone has brought a weapon with them. Currently it seems to be ignoring them and they seem to be ignoring it. Excellent. This is quite a lot of immigrants. I haven't got that many spare bedrooms. Right. No one got intercepted by the monitor lizard. Good. Ooh, some people were brave enough as to bring things all the way, bring their crossbow bolts properly into the thing. Shooting gallery. Right, we need more bedrooms. Time to start mining again. Right. No, that was not what I meant at all. Let's start that again. Probably not the most efficient approach, but it'll do. Five sticking out that way. Only three sticking out that way, but on the other hand, better to another row than that. And let's say, when I said I wanted you to dig into the rubbish pit, I of course didn't actually mean that. The monitor lizard has found someone. He's not well. I wonder if my military is up to one undead monitor lizard. Let's be optimistic. And watch quite closely. Someone's distracted them. Well, that worked. Yes, thank you, Diz. I will have a look at the pig bits. Right, yes, monitor lizards, not a serious problem, it looks like. Good. I'm fairly sure that one of my early attempts at this fortress was actually scuttled by one undead monitor lizard. But when you've got a mace dwarf who can bash the monitor lizard in the upper body with their bronze flail, admittedly an axe dwarf who turns up and punches it, which is not exactly wise, but still. Yes, the mace dwarf has done an excellent job. And now we only have the slight problem of, I think, a rather badly injured woodcutter. I think someone needs to explain to Toadie that the that monitor lizards probably don't have scales on their tongues. So we want to look up Thicket Gem Chamber and see if they're alive. Oh yes, so it looks like one of the sow skins came to life while I wasn't paying attention. Right, anyway, Thicket Carol Mafol. Yes, is somewhat battered, horrified and shaken, but has been rescued, has a few cuts and such like, is waiting for diagnosis, and is currently I think being lugged. Yes, I think he or she may be being carried home. To the hospital. So we have a petition available. The Hall of Gorges has many members in Nosetools and now requires a guild hall. Yes, okay, I'll dig out another guild hall. Let's put it next to the existing guild hall. Oops. The last guild hall worked pretty well. And this is a miners' guild, so you might hope they turn up and help with the mining. Okay, Thicket Coral Mafol, who just got into a fight with a monitor lizard corpse, was apparently really very pregnant at the time, because she's just given birth to a son. Possibly while unconscious through her injuries. Okay, do we actually have a doctor in the thingamy? There's our chief medical dwarf. Oh, you're busy. You are actually scheduled to diagnose the patient. Good. And now sorting out cleaning her wounds. Though the lack of soap will make that less effective. And now going off to drink. Right, I think we may have someone with fishing. Ooh, right. That's a problem. That's a problem. We have giant tortoise corpses. We have a lot of giant tortoise corpses. Right. You should not be even thinking about fishing. You must be new here. There will be no fishing. Does anyone else think they're fishing? I mean, there's pretty much no hope we can kill a giant tortoise corpse because of its shell. Someone was found dead. Oh. I wasn't expecting you to be found dead there. You got into a fight with some troglodytes, didn't you, you stoat? You did a perfectly good job of killing a cave crocodile. And then you went and shot a troglodyte, which, like, you managed to shoot it in the head, but not actually seriously hurt it. And then it looks like, yeah, were doing tolerably. Your dodging was pretty good. And then you ran out of crossbow bolts. And you've killed one troglodyte there, it looks like. I should make sure that any corpses get properly gathered up then. Like at this point, the combat log is all looking quite good. And then too many troglodytes, I think. And you simply got too tired from having to fight so many troglodytes, and they overwhelmed you. And your attacks got weaker and weaker, and then they managed break your arm. Not actually break your arm, but tear a tendon in your arm such that you could no longer hold your crossbow, at which point, yeah. You spent most of your time unconscious being beaten up by troglodytes who simply would not stop. Right, well, there's a slight problem. There's still a bunch of troglodytes around there. So I would like to dispose of that corpse. All the other troglodyte corpses down there. There's a human corpse as well. Mangled skeletons actually are not a problem because I think those can't come back to life. They're not sufficiently intact for it. I think I should check for any unmangled skeletons and corpses, and if there are only mangled ones, then I don't think we need to worry. Right, good. Back up to the fortress because we should check on what's going on with the dead pigs. It looks like all the skin probably where it should be. Or maybe there are some spare skins lying around, but since there's a tanner hide job scheduled in the tannery, let's assume that someone's going to deal with that. And there's another live boar skin there, but it's gone and attacked a woodcutter. was, yes, gone and attacked the woodcutter who was operating the our war jaguar now, sprinting around. Yes. Slightly dented from his encounter with the jaguar is very fast. Where are you? Oh no, where are you going? Anyone heading out onto the surface is suspicious. Right, you're going to pick up equipment. Well, I'm going to follow you. Oops. Slightly worried about your running into a giant tortoise. I think what I should do is see if there's anyone out here who isn't a giant tortoise corpse. And if there isn't, lock the door to the surface. Yes, because there are still giant tortoise corpses out there. Now maybe don't lock that until the person who was outside the door was coming. There we go, right. And similarly down here. Lock those two trapdoors. Because there's a lot of giant tortoise corpses on the surface, and I don't know if they're dangerous, but right, we need about another 10 beds, don't we? To mark all of the new bedrooms to have their walls smoothed when you get a chance. And also that little square there, which for reasons was not marked for smoothing. All this smoothing should eventually give us some really good... But we're going to need some doors as well, aren't we? Probably about another 10 doors. Job, manager, new order, block, door, 10. Stick in the doors we've got at least. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Second batch of 10 doors because we're going to need more. I think I may have a terrifying engraver here. Look at the pace with which she's engraving or smoothing. Legendary engraver, yes. Right, anyway, about that soap industry. items I want in Ashery. Oh, we need barrels and a bucket. Right. Oops, right, we've accidentally ended up smoothing the room round the staircase as well. Oh well, it'll be fine. You can engrave it with things and cheer up all the dwarves who go past. Slightly worried by that interrupted by a troglodyte. Don't you know these troglodytes are dangerous? Stop getting into fights with troglodytes. They come at you in large groups and they kill you. See?
Is equal to 4.
Yes. More or less. They're not actually equals, is they're line drawing characters, which for complicated reasons in Bedstead have gaps between them. Well, not very complicated really. I occasionally think I should change this. Job item lost or destroyed for a tanner hide job. I suspect that means that that something has come back to life that shouldn't have. And this isn't really a problem with the skins; they tend to get shredded. Conveniently, our tanner is also it also usually carries an axe, so a slight propensity towards things being alive that really shouldn't be isn't much of a problem. It turned out that scale is of no use anyway in this game, yes. Probably nails are as well. It appears that in the time it took for someone to turn up to dump the caved crocodile scale, someone trying to tan it. Oh no, it's just being placed there ready for slightly worried about that woodcutter. There's that loose object there as well. Probably not of any use. This is our woodcutter who apparently decided to store something in her bedroom. Which is quite a long walk now because the bedroom layer is quite big. I am wondering if I should change that at some point.
Eek is currently clapping his wings spookily. I can probably confirm.
Yes. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think those dead pig bits that come back to life are actually not a serious problem, mostly because the dwarf who is usually working in that area is Thicket Cuddlemafole, our woodcutter, who thus habitually carries an axe with her and is pretty good with it, and so she'll just anything get any bit of uh, loose skin gets an attitude around her, and it tends to get cut up. So yes, we're just following her as she goes off to have some dinner. It can sometimes be educational to like watch a single dwarf. So she's picked up a prepared meal and has now sat down in the dining room to eat it. And there's a leopard running around in the dining room. She's now finished that and is going to listen to a story for a bit. I'm fairly sure there's still some work for her to do. Yeah, okay. I think that that axe dwarf may have dealt with much of our troglodyte problem. Hacking off troglodytes' heads is probably a good way to stop them, to make sure they don't come back to life. I mean, if we don't have any live troglodytes, we've still got 2 live troglodytes. They're scary enough to have names. We should also engrave some more memorials to those who have died fighting the troglodytes, because they are stoats. Don't fight the troglodytes, they will win. Where is the engraving shop? There it is. Also going to need some more slabs in a bit. Let's install some doors. So yes, we've got a nice lot of smooth rooms there from our legendary engraver. I should actually put some beds in them, they're not there. There. It'd be lovely to get these doors decorated before they're installed, but I think we want the rooms quite urgently. Here come some beds. And some doors. We haven't had many new people turning up here to hunt monsters, have we? I think things are settling down in that regard, at least. So now we have at least some unoccupied bedrooms. We promised someone we'd build a guild hall, didn't we? Schedule it for some fairly high priority smoothing, because we actually want this done. And stick a statue in the middle in the hopes. Whereabouts that will probably be necessary. Okay, so yes, the way I did it was to create a meeting area zone. Which then gets assigned a new miners guild hall. The shaft of gravel. Which is not yet a good enough guild hall. So I think I'll do what I did with the last. Actually, we could build statues, unlike there is a statue incoming indeed. But once this is smoothed, we could actually schedule it for actual engravings, because we've got a master engraver here, plus there's been lots of nice death we can draw pictures of. The nice thing is, even though we have a non-master engraver,
can non-members go through the other guild hall to get to the new one?
yeah, that won't be a problem, I'm pretty sure. I mean, if it turns out it isn't, then it might be a problem, but we'll see. So let us now ask for that guild hall to have engravings everywhere. That should make it quite nice. So now I think our engraver will probably go, oh, I could engrave some actual art. Will she, or will she just clear off? Well, someone's doing some engraving in there anyway. Right, well, we have a bit of a rest now that it is the dry season. So I'm going to quickly look up guild halls to be on the safe side. Oh, that's an interesting trick. I like that idea.
It's the dry season, wouldn't you be attacked by desiccated down that
Not in general, no. Curiously, I think things can still rot even when it's dry, which is obviously not as it should be. Oh, my engraver has... Oh no, She's going back up now, I think. Yes, because the sorting out the Guildhall is a high priority. So, usual pathing problems in my rather tangled fortress. She's going over to engrave things at a terrifying rate. She's engraved a masterpiece. And you can see the pictures that she's engraving appear on the on here, though we can turn that off because they're kind of confusing. I presume this is taking that up to a terrifying... Yes, all that engraving has fairly rapidly produced a ludicrous quality Guildhall. Much faster than statues. When you have a scary master engraver at hand. Excuse me, what about that square? Ooh. Ah! Sorry, this is a feature that wasn't here before. I can specify what I want engraved. Admittedly, it might be quite hard to find the the subjects I want. So I can say, please engrave something about Nosetools. Someone will probably be along in due course. So yes, now each of these squares has a we don't need exceptionally designed pictures of gizzard stones. There's apparently a siege fairly nearby, in which thank you. I'm sure we wanted one of those. Finely designed image of a mosquito. We have a thing commemorating the foundation of Nosetools. Someone will be along to engrave that one last thing. Anyway, so that was a very rapid way to get a high quality fortress, though we do have this entertaining thing that now, or a high quality Guildhall, though the Guildhall does now appear to be entirely full of faces. Yes. Oh yes, something you might observe is that our engraver, who's currently sitting next to that statue there, alternates with a child symbol because she's carrying her child around with her at the moment, because the child is too young to wander around unaided. Right, so the interesting idea that I just saw in the wiki was that you could quite sensibly make your hospital also into a meeting area for a Guildhall for doctors. covers all of diagnose of bone, etc. So we can say that is now a doctor's guild hall, which will tend to cause anyone with medical abilities to hang around there, and they will start teaching one another, which is kind of good, because the thing about medical staff is you don't tend to need a lot of them. Most of the time they don't get much opportunity to practice their craft, and then suddenly they all need to be able to do it all at once. What's the bedroom situation like? We have 0 spare bedrooms. Right. So let us dig out some more bedrooms. We do have a serious, well, not exactly overpopulation problem, but so where's the staircase? I want to I'm getting a bit worried about how far people are having to walk from the stairs, but like 4 rooms away from the stairs we've already got, so let's go for a group of 3 bedrooms up here. Which are now 3 away from the stairs, and a symmetric group of 3 bedrooms down here. Yes, I could. There is an argument that having a single staircase that connects up everything is probably not sensible, and I should start putting in extra staircases. I think strictly there's not much to stop me putting staircases through dwarves' bedrooms. Oops. Why can't I mark that? Oh, because it's already got someone trying to mine it. Sorry, I'm being a stoat. There it goes. Right, back to that soap industry that I keep getting distracted from. Have I actually got the bits to make? No, because some bugger's taken my barrel. Right, build another barrel. I'm going to have to send someone to chop some wood soon. No, that's not what I meant. Actually, maybe what I should... Oh, let's just watch someone building a barrel. It surely won't take very long. Yes, we probably haven't got enough wood to make all the beds we need now. Well, caverns are fairly safe. You only sometimes get attacked by troglodytes down there. And troglodytes are mostly peaceful unless you go and shoot them. Right, so... There's now a barrel down there. Let us attempt to build that ashery before someone finds another use for the barrel. Right, then I keep seeing things in these lists that weren't there the last time I played this game. Furnace. Wood furnace. There. Right. Well, good luck with the undead giant tortoises then. I mean, it might be fine. You are my test of how scary are undead giant tortoises. This incoming merchant caravan. Not sure where the undead giant tortoises are today. Oh, they're all down there. They may be far enough away that they won't find you. Looking good so far. I think the giant tortoises may be a bit short-sighted. Right, to be on the safe side, before we let anyone into the visitor's room, we will close the trapdoor, close the drawbridge, and then unlock that. Right, well, what can we deliver there then? So yes, the thing is that we now have some reasonably valuable pots of prepared food. So like if we just bring one of our pots of prepared food, that will probably cover most of what we might want, but since we'll probably have a lot of weird crafts anyway, actually move visible. Nope. Shift all of our crafts in there as well, because we don't care about them very much, apart from like if any of them are actually yes, our limestone crown we should probably not try to trade away. So we're now bringing up all of our crafts. Those memorials probably want placing, don't they? Bit of a flurry of activity as everyone goes to the craftsdwarf's workshop, picks up one trinket and takes it upstairs to the trade depot. I think that's most of the trinkets shifted. Let us get my broker up here to do some trading. What's the troglodyte situation like? Basically none of them left, right. In that case, let us send someone down into the caverns to chop down a few trees, or rather enormous fungoids, to get us some more wood to make beds out of. My broker is on his way, indeed is there. So what have they brought with them then? Okay, I'm not actually about to trade away 16,000's worth of accidentally brought artifact, but on the other hand, lots of decorated totems. Are totally a thing I could do. So we could get a bunch of metal if we want to actually start being able to build things out of metal. We probably don't need gems. Glass is sometimes helpful to have around, though I have this vague feeling that you can't use raw glass in that form to make anything very useful. They've got lots of wood, actually, if we don't want to bother chopping down trees. Lots of wood. Right, our request for cats has finally been honoured. Where the caravan has brought 8 cats with it. And a barrel of giant mosquito ichor. Hello, dwarven merchants. And some books. Would you like a cavefish parchment scroll written on with containing a manual entitled "The Secret of Animal Societies Concerning the Social Behaviour of Creatures"? Rather valuable. Can the dwarf save the world? Are there any actual complete musical instruments? It doesn't look like it. Feels that accumulating bits of musical instruments is probably not sensible. So let's select for. Let's assume that we're essentially going to be engaging in ludicrous food handling, and actually we should dispose of some of our. Like, we've got a pig bone figurine of dwarves that's worth 2,300, whatever they are, eurists. Right, yes, okay, I can see that that's quite an exciting figurine. Dwarf carved out of pig bone by Benvil Guzzlrisin. The dwarves are withering away, relating to the withering of the grazed calves and the states of echoes settlements of cobalt relics. Yes, well, we know about cobalt relics, don't we? They've produced something commemorating my previous failures, decorated with exceptionally worked elk bird antler, encircled with bands of exceptionally worked elk bird bone. The object menaces with spikes of superior quality pig hoof. On the item is a masterfully designed image of it and Wiped Theatres the dwarf and a rabbit in monitor lizard bone by Sigurd Olonsolos. It on Wiped Theatres is embracing the rabbit. Or on the item is an exceptionally designed image of tetrahedral tetrahedra. Well, yes. I admit, if you were going to have a tetrahedra, I would suggest that you have a tetrahedral tetrahedra, but I'm not entirely sure whether that's what is meant. in Large Rat Bone by Sigon Olon Solos. So yes, I think this has been left lying around for a while and has got highly decorated. Other ones slightly less so. Don't accidentally trade away that crown. That should probably be sent back to where it came from. So we have 18,000 grotzits to spend. I think that's obviously the right word to use. Well, I don't know what they're represented as a sun symbol. I think they may be referred to as Eurists, but that's because everything is called Eurist. Eurist is the traditional dwarf name for the dwarf whose name you've forgotten. So we should get some cheese. Cheese is good. Because cheese is valuable. Cheese is a particularly valuable kind of food, and you can thus cook it into, and it comes in decent sized stacks, and you can cook it then into prepared meals, which you can then sell to the next bunch of visitors. Like you can see that all of these things come in stacks of 5, and none of the stacks are worth 50 in the way that cheese is. Sorry, I'm just amused by the fact that we can buy a single menacing silver spike. It's encircled with bands of giant cave swallow bone. And menaces with spikes. The menacing spike menaces with spikes. But I don't think we actually have a use for a spike. Those steel greaves look a bit pricey. Especially since I bet about half of that cost goes on the decoration. Okay, no, basic value 2,800, so maybe they're actually mostly worth having for being pretty decent steel greaves. I mean, it will reduce the propensity my people have for getting hurt, I suppose. We could buy an anvil. Let's buy an anvil. I don't think we currently own an anvil. Let's take some crossbow bolts. Like actually effective crossbow bolts. Since they've been so good as to bring cats, should we just buy all the cats? That might be quite entertaining. Well, I suppose we can then, if we end up with too many kittens, we can geld some of them. I think that's an option. Right, all the cats. Let's buy some toys to cheer people up. Oh, there's an actual musical instrument. Let's buy an earthenware air. People keep complaining about the lack of... Well, they don't complain about the lack of musical instruments, but it's notable that they are not playing real musical instruments because they don't have any. Kind of tempting just to grab all the wood. But no, that we don't have a wood shortage. We can cut trees down some of the time. Let's get a small amount of wood. Enough to refill our wood stockpile. There we go. Cats and dogs. The cats will come with a decent quantity of cages anyway. Do we have any interesting drink? Dwarven ale and dwarven beer we don't have in stock, so let's have some of that. How are we doing? They're still making a phenomenal profit, so let us buy some swords. Steel short sword, go on. tend to feel the headwear is worth having. Those gauntlets are a bit pricey. Oh, sod it. Thing is that if we can keep making prepared meals like this, you eventually reach the point where you can go, oh, sod it, we'll just buy everything they've brought with them. I mean, I'm not actually going to, because why don't they bring soap though? Look, soap is such a bloody pain to make. You would have thought that someone would have set up. Okay, we'll have some flour because people wanted to make pizza. Not that I think we can actually organise pizza adequately unless we put in a lot of effort. Like, I don't know if this game actually even has tomatoes. One moment, let me check if it has tomatoes. Okay, Dwarf Fortress does have tomatoes, so I suppose like a wheat flour tomato and cheese roast would be a pizza. Yes. Let's find some more slightly valuable food. I mean, plump helmets are valuable, but we've got plenty. Take all the food that has a value above 10, except for plump helmets. I think we should be well enough off for thread. Maybe we should buy those steel greaves anyway. Right, I think this is now, the traders are now getting down to a reasonable profit. I have a feeling that we might want some cheap quivers, but I'm not sure. Got all of those. Oh, some inspiration for anyone who might want to find a particularly weird book. Yeah, I think that might be a bit too weird. Anyway, I don't think we need any books, as far as I know. So they will walk away with a fair profit from that. But like, I don't think there's anything else here I really want. Not a bag of quicklime. The problem is lye comes in buckets. Is quicklime useful for anything? Stone derived product used in the production of parchment. Yes. I don't think that's very helpful to us. Shells are another thing you sometimes want, but I don't think they're usually... What? Soot Hall's Nightmare Leather. Shoot Hall's Nightmare Leather. Sorry, I'm going to buy that simply for its name. I think it's just the leather made from the skin of Shoot Hall's Nightmare, whatever the hell that was. But no one knows anymore. All that we know is that we have some leather of it. I mean, there is a slight possibility that we're going to want some clothes at some point, but yeah. Right, trade. There we go. Also, that should not be there. Right, so that's some trading done. So I think what I want to do in order to get the cats out of the cage is to just build all of the cages. Where is the outpost liaison got to anyway? Have I accidentally locked them out of the fortress? Yes. Oh, right. I should probably open the front door briefly so they can get in. Oh, I think the thing is that they couldn't work out where they were meant to be. Oh no, that's locked that door, Stokeface. I'm going to have to go to bed soon, I'm getting snoozy. But not until we've got the cats out, as it were. So that will open the front door drawbridge, which should then allow the outpost liaison to actually come in. Because I think the problem was that he didn't at any point realise how to get into the fortress, because we'd carefully arranged that there wasn't a way for anyone to get in and get all the way in, because we'd locked the front door while the drawbridge was open. This human bard has turned up. Well, we'll leave the door open for them then. What are you doing? Sorry, someone's come out. Well, pick up equipment, that's probably safe. Well, frankly, we're doing all right now. I mean, unless we can get some soap. But I don't think we can. Because we can only ask for metal bars. And stone blocks, neither of which is soap. I mean, I think they kind of object if you don't ask for something, so let's nudge copper cages up one notch just so that they think that we're involved. And yeah, I don't care. I'm going to buy. I'm going to sell you prepared meals whether you like it or not. Right, I think we can now safely operate the front door again. For now. Until the... so I'm still a bit worried about those giant tortoise corpses, even though they haven't yet caused any serious trouble. So we now have a bunch of cats in cages. And as I recall from... Oh, can we do it through the animals thing then? Is there a... Not really, no. So I think what I have to do, rather perversely, is to say... is first to get, say, all of the animals, all of the cats should be moved to the pigsty. And then once they have been, move them out again, or rather release them from the pigsty. Then we're going to want like a load of more stone mechanisms, aren't we? going to need at least enough to I think all the cats have now been shifted. Okay, maybe that would have been another way to remove them. Anyway, let's now deconstruct all the cages again. And then those will be spare cages which we can use to build cage traps. So now I should say actually there's no reason why the cats need to stay in the pen at all. On the other hand, if there are piglets kicking around, they should be kept there. Actually, as should any other animal that doesn't have a name, apart from the leopard and the jaguar. So now the cats can start hunting the various vermin, and that will make everyone a bit less annoyed by all the vermin around. Charge goes the jaguar. Still a lot of bones and skulls kicking around in there. What's our food stockpiles looking like? The unprepared stockpile is fairly full, so I should probably not fill that up with more stuff at the moment. Oh, also I was going to make a dedicated booze stockpile, wasn't I? That was why I created that room. That. That one is just prepared food, yes. That one then does not include drink. Okay, so we didn't ever have anywhere that booze was going anyway. So now people are lugging booze into the booze stockpile. Excellent. So meanwhile, can we make a small amount of ash? The ashery. So there's a setting for done like this. I want to remove, yeah, that's just hiding items. Is it some, oh, I'll worry about it later. There's a setting somewhere to make the engravings a little less loud. So now people will be drinking in the booze stockpile rather than kind of feel I should actually see how some of my people are feeling. Yeah, I can't do anything much about your being away from your family, I'm afraid. able to acquire something. Maybe we need to start making clothes. Or I suppose we could just buy some clothes. Anyway, so we have cats. I think that's kind of a triumph in its own way. We're also apparently a bit short of rock pots for storing things in. I'll just schedule making some more of those. So that should mean that that we don't end up with too many more. The vermin situation down here seems pretty good anyway. Maybe the cats have got them all already. It was the case that there were an awful lot. Yeah, there are still a fair number of vermin up in the up here. I think thrips, snails. Yeah. Maybe I should have left the cats penned in there for a little while, simply to encourage hunting of those. Let's get a couple of cats kept up there with the pigs. So yes, we have cats. All is well with the world. No one has. Oh dear. Stode Stigasmonom, trader, withdraws from society. Well, I think we'll get him, much though I'd like to stop now. I feel that we should pay some attention to someone who has a strange mood. He's claimed the Craftsdwarf's workshop. And he's apparently off doing things. Has decided that they need wood. And more wood. And pathing problems. Where are you going? How much wood do you need? What are you making? I can build a square metre of floor with 1 unit of wood. You're building a mysterious construction entirely out of wood. Right, good. In that case, I shall save there and stop. Because it's a little bit after midnight. Yes, we do generally have piss-ups in the booze stockpiles. It's possible they're making an artifact dining hall, yes. So... Yes, and no, we can't have wall armours, sorry. There are only certain things you can turn into war animals, and while jaguars and leopards are among those, hence us now having a war leopard and a war jaguar. No. a war leopard and a war jaguar, you can't have war llamas. You're generally restricted to the carnivores in that respect. So yes, that is how far we've got tonight. We have cats, so we almost have a soap industry, which is one of these weird things that it seems to be impossible to buy, so you end up having to construct like 5-stage pipeline to construct soap, but that should stop people's wounds getting infected. Not that seems to be much of a problem, and actually our undead problem seems to be less of a problem than our troglodyte problem, but the troglodyte problem is mostly that of idiots who go down into the caverns and hunt troglodytes, and I kind of feel that they deserve it, really. So yes, that's all for tonight. Good night. Where's the button for saying good night? I've lost the button for saying good night. Good night.